So this is the article review on risk factors for low back pain in recreational distance runners. And the first question I always ask myself when looking at an article is, where is it from and who wrote it? So where it came from is Orthopedic Physical Therapy Practice, and this is published by the Orthopedic Physical Therapy, the Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy, I apologize. And the author is a gentleman by the name of Dr. Jonathan Gallas, and he is from Rockford, Illinois, or at least that's where this article is published. And what do we know about him? So he has been practicing as a PT since 2002. He then obtained his DPT and has also gotten a CSCS in the meantime. And he's currently working, props to him, on his postdoc in physical therapy. So he also has articles that have already been published, things mostly in regards to the foot and the ankle for runners. So this looks like the first thing he's done in regards to low back pain. And yeah, so he also specializes in treating the running athlete. All right, so why are we looking at this article? One thing to consider is that running can cause impact forces on the body between 1.5 to 6 times the body weight. So that can put a lot of pressure through our limbs and through our low back. And we have to consider that low back pain is such a huge cost on our medical system. So millions and millions of dollars are spent each year treating low back pain. So he wanted to find out, are there some factors that lead recreational distance runners to having low back pain? So his major question was to determine if there was a difference that existed between runners with low back pain and a control group of non-runners in regards to a demographic question, physical training, and low back pain variables on running. So for those of you who don't necessarily care too much about all the ins and outs of the article, here's what he found. So runners with low back pain were typically older. They also ran more years. They also ran more miles per year and per week. And they also had less rest days. So as a clinician, I'm thinking I need to make sure that my runners are aware of a good running routine in regards to frequency, rest, and also cross training to prevent these people from having low back pain or a reoccurrence of low back pain. The second thing that he found was that there really wasn't a significant difference in core strength between the groups that were runners with low back pain and runners without low back pain, but there was a pretty hefty difference. It just wasn't significant. So core strength may still play a role in runners with low back pain. All right, so that's the basis, that's the major things. Now, if we jump into what that means to us, we have to ensure that we're not increasing our mileage too much, too quickly, that we're taking rest days so that our body has a chance to recover, and that we're considering cross-training. So make sure you seek out a professional that is able to help you do these things to prevent your risk of low back pain from coming either back or even starting. Because they said if you start a running program, about 10% of people that start a running program in the first year are gonna have low back pain. So to try to avoid having low back pain altogether when you start a running program, check with a professional. Consider core stability as a role to prevent this low back pain from happening, and also just have a good time. Now, for those of you who are really concerned about what this article says and really look into a little bit more of an article review, so he had 3 groups. So he had a control group, and then he also had 2 groups. One was the running group without back pain, and one was a running group with back pain. So there were 34 people in the control group, 35 runners with low back pain, and 33 runners without low back pain, adding to an N of 102. So a relatively small study. The objective measures that were done were lumbar active range of motion, flexion and extension, the Bering-Sorensen test, the side bridge test, and demographics like we briefly talked about with age, the number of days or days of running per week, rest days, years run, races per year, and the number of marathons. Props to you guys that have done multiple of those. So, interesting note is that one of the exclusion criteria was that people that were already receiving PT couldn't be in this study for their low back pain, that is. So what did he find? The control group had a significantly higher BMI than the running group. So 24.9 to a 22.5 and a 23.8 respectively. There were no significant differences in lumbar range of motion, both flexion and extension, which are variables that we as clinicians look at quite frequently. The Bearing-Sorensen test, like I mentioned earlier, with kind of thinking about treating low back pain in runners with core strengthening, he found that without low back pain, they were able to sustain that position for 52.3 seconds, and the control group only 40.1 seconds. So there was a significant difference between the control group and the group without low back pain, but then there wasn't a significant difference between the group of runners with low back pain and without low back pain. But check out these numbers. So without low back pain, 52.3 seconds, and with low back pain, 45.9 second average. So to me, I still feel like that may be a variable to consider, even though there wasn't a significant difference between those numbers. The side bridge, both running groups were significantly different than the control, but to be expected. A significant difference between running groups was shown between the number of years run, marathons run, rest days, and running days per week. And no significant difference between running groups for races per year. So how many marathons, 5Ks, those sort of things was not a significant difference. And there was a significant difference in age between the running groups. So if you look at his chart, the ages was a little bit older with the runners with low back pain, like I mentioned earlier. So I hope this article helps you as a clinician or a runner yourself to consider things like rest days, training program, how many days, how many miles are you running, and seeking out guidance for what you can do to improve your core stability and just have an overall safe running program. Thank you.